Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. It's great to see all of you here, and thanks for joining us. It's an unusual well-read review. So normally we focus on indie projects, a lot of CG stuff, things outside of CG too, but crowdfunds primarily. We wanted to take a stab at talking about something in the mainstream that a lot of people give commentary on storylines that happen in the mainstream. But what exactly is the quality of storytelling going on there right now? And we thought we'd ask some of the premier creators that we have here in CG, guys who have shown their prowess and their creativity, and definitely have interesting things to say when talking about the works that the mainstream are putting out right now. So tonight we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, and specifically the last two plot points that came up during the ongoing story by Zeb Wells, where Spider-Man is cucked by an interdimensional boyfriend for MJ, and then Kamala Khan dies. So, yeah, two interesting things occurring within the Spider-Man series right now, and getting a lot of talk, but not a lot of people talking about the book itself, particularly from our perspective. So we thought we'd give it a stab and see how that works out. We've got Darko D13 in the chat. He said, "Get Wells and JR on. Make them apologize." Yeah, someday. I don't think we're going to have a lot of crossover with the mainstream here. Not a lot of mainstream creators beating down my door to come on for an interview, but can't abandon all hope. Here's Caleb Reynolds. Welcome. So thanks everybody for being here. We got Wilberforce, and we got How's Your Father? Appearance by TJ, not for a review, but I will do an Unzipped later, and we'll tackle some of the Flashcast happenings. So I'll do an EFAP of that, and we'll see what people have to say in the chat, and whoever jumps into the panel. So with that, though, we'll start tonight's review. We've got joining us a threesome. We got the panel of Moonshine.
Good evening, Carrot.
Good evening. We've got the incredible Trencher himself, Vonster.
Hey, what's up, people? How you doing?
Good. Great to have you. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We've got the master of all things in indie and CG, Nar to the wall.
Hey, what's up?
I was hoping Narwhal was going to be gone when you cut to him.
Yeah.
I was gone for a second because there's a deer outside my window. Deers are all around my house at all times, and I throw spinach at them, but they don't even like spinach. And I don't know if I'm trying to get them to stay, actually, because I don't have a dog right now. So I'm like, oh, deer, come hang out with me.
Stay, stag friends, stay.
You're assaulting the deer with spinach. That's all I got from that story.
Yeah. Everyone hates deer in the neighborhood, and I don't know if this is a nationwide thing, but they're like, they eat my flowers and I love my flowers, and I'm like,
it's
look at you picking flowers over deer. How dare you?
Yeah, we all hate deer except you, Narwhal. So.
Yeah,
just take them for us, just store them for us for a bit.
I would. But the other thing is, if I ever did get one to finally let me pet it, immediately ticks would crawl out of its ear onto my hand and ingest into my hand, because they're disgusting wild animals. They just look pretty.
Yeah.
Pure Lyme disease.
Exactly. I mean, that's why, you got to have hunting season and predators and things like that. You got to cull that herd. Otherwise, disease everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Bambi's mom's gots to go.
Right.
It's the way of things.
It's us or them.
And venison, venison.
Well,
yummy.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey. Great to see you in the chat. So thanks for hanging out. All right, guys. So today we're talking Spider-Man. Yeah. So I know I've talked a bit to a few of you about, your familiarity with the character, like if you've read Spider-Man in the past, and, what your feeling is about the way that those stories should be told, the way that character should be treated. Some of you are newcomers to it. Narwhal, have you had a lot of experience reading Spider-Man in the past, or is this going to be your first time taking a dive at the character?
Yeah, not too much. I feel like I know him pretty well because I watched a bunch of the TV show back in the day and then the movies, but haven't read too many books with him in them. But I was just thinking as you're saying that in episode or issues 25, 26 is the ones I read. He's like not in costume that much for it, and he doesn't do that much while he's in costume. So it didn't really give me the Spider-Man fix necessarily when we were reading. But.
It's a horrible introduction to Spider-Man then for you. I'm sorry. It's what a way to pop your cherry.
But it's the perfect introduction to Zeb Wells' Spider-Man. So,
and
headache-inducing.
And you, Vonster?
Yeah, for me, Spider-Man was my first real Halloween costume. He was my first like favorite superhero. He was the coolest. To me, he represents Marvel when you see him, like in an ad or anything, more than any other character. And isn't Amazing Spider-Man their top book? Yes. Or has that changed? Okay.
Yeah, it's still.
So this should be their cream of the crop, writing art. You know what I'm saying? Storytelling, because they got to maintain that top selling book, right? And I've also was and then I got back into Spider-Man again later when Todd McFarlane took him over and did Torment and did Spider-Man #1. I was just a huge fan. Eric Larson did some Spider-Man after that I kept up with for a bit. So I've read some Spider-Man, and I do love him to this day. So.
Yeah, I read a lot of Spider-Man when I was young too, but stopped for a while. I was into the J. Michael Straczynski run, read a bunch of that, but definitely nothing from New Marvel. For New Marvel perspective, we've got Moonshine, who actually reads this tripe because he's just the diehardest of diehard Spider-Man fans.
I need a palate cleanser from 499 and Mind Your Business.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's awful. Well, so you can tell Moonshine is very grumpy because he still reads Spider-Man, and what they're doing to his favorite character is it's not right. So I guess
Caleb does have an interesting point.
Let's see, Tobey's Spider-Man was based off the animated series, right?
Yes, pretty much. In fact, you could relate all three Spider-Man to animated series if you look into.
So Sam Raimi didn't even read the comics. He's a liar.
Probably.
That's
I think there's a animated series called Spectacular Spider-Man, which follows Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man almost perfectly, and then Ultimate Spider-Man, of course, is Tom Holland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I read a lot of the Ultimate too. That was really good.
Yeah. One thing about these two issues that I read is Spider-Man that he got like outclassed a little bit by the Fantastic Four. They were cooler than him. And so, I don't know.
If you read the previous issues, he kicked their ass, so you missed.
Yeah, he kind of owned them a little bit before.
Which makes no sense because Spider-Man shouldn't really have a chance against that whole team, but
I do like that he was taking on two of them and he was able to steal that reactor. I thought that was kind of like one of the best.
But then he comes back when Reed is there and he like outsmarts Reed. I'm like, oh, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but that was kind of a stretch. That was my favorite part though because it felt so Spider-Man-y. Like I'm bringing this back. See ya.
It's Spider-Man's book. He gets to do things. I mean, as Stan Lee said, whoever wins is whoever the writer wants to win in the issue. So.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I like the way he's kind of manifesting that old school Mary Jane a little bit with the look, the way he draws her and the bangs and everything.
Yeah. You know, one thing I hesitate to say, but I didn't like JR's art that much.
Yeah,
I used to love his art so much. He's literally one of my favorites, top 3 maybe of all time. And I was like, wait, was this him or is this someone else? Because I look and I'm like, they're off model. Even like the characters look different in every panel. And I was like,
well, this issue, Kara Andrews drew a lot of it. So
okay,
the 26 is all John Romita Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if that's why 25 looks weird because they had 2 artists draw it, which is
I didn't like that when they switch artists halfway through. But what are you gonna do?
Man, does it happen? Yeah, I did have to admit, like, well, I love him too. I love his work. I was like, there's a lot of phoning it in. There's a lot of like just get her done panels happening here for this artist. So it's kind of surprising, actually.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Kara Andrews actually put more effort into his art.
I would say
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, is he under a deadline? I was like, what is the things Marvel's doing wrong? Is putting old legends under deadlines, and that's why their art looks like it's deteriorating. Like, maybe just give him time to make it good, because I'm sure he can tell if it's up to snuff or not or whatever. But
Or is this like them being passive aggressive and like intentionally turning in bad art because they hate what's happening with these characters as much as everybody else does, but they're still going to take a paycheck?
I can't wait to get into that, because when you look at how he draws Kamala Khan, it's like he just does the outline and moves on.
I swear to God, like it's like he resented drawing her. The way she's written into this story is like the writer resented having to put her in. It's incredible. She's barely in it, and then she's dead. She has no arc. She has no plot. Like, she has no moment of pushing the plot in any way, shape, or form. She's in the background as much as he can keep her, so he can fit in this crazy interdimensional time lapse cuckold story. And then he's like, here she is.
yeah, they kind of retcon her after she's dead. They spend more time on that moment of like, and they're like, she was a hero the whole time she was spying on Osborn. And you're like, oh, okay, you gave one panel of her applying at Osborn at the beginning of the comic.
Well, I mean, it's sort of layered in there throughout the full series, but not really. I think it's more interesting if you read the like notes at the end. He admits, so like, yeah, we brought on the original creator, G. Willow Wilson, to kind of flesh her out in this final issue. It's like, yeah, that tells, because she was nothing before this final issue.
Oh yeah.
Even though she had some of the worst lines, like she comes in and she's like, I'm here too. Sorry, that was the worst intro ever. Pretend I said something cool, and you're just like going, ugh.
Yeah, then you're like, I want her to die.
This is a good
giant
comment,
fist and just.
Java the Peacemaker says, I wish they would kill off Well-Read Anas and his stupid arc. Maybe you could write that comic, Java. Moonshine, do you want to give us like an overview?
Java, do a one-page comic of that plot.
Of me getting murdered by Java. Awesome.
The Quaff could draw it. Easy.
He's such a hack, though. You got to get somebody better.
I deserve the best.
That's right. Moonshine, can you give us a synopsis of this storyline? Just bring us up to speed to where issue 25 picks up. What exactly is happening in this arc?
Oh, so it's pretty simple. There was Nick Spencer's writing, and Zeb Wells kind of finished off the story. But then all of a sudden on issue 1, or I think actually the end of the last issue, some guy appears in light and talks to Mary Jane and Peter. And you're like, what? And then the first issue is 6 months later and everyone hates Peter. Mary Jane is with some guy with grown kids. And it's like, what happened? And the rest of the series until about issue 21 doesn't explain it at all. It's just Spider-Man stories and Mary Jane's off with someone else. So that's your setup.
Depressing.
Yeah, Mary Jane off gallivanting with another guy. Jeez.
In some weird world of symbology or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how they say it's like a dream. It was all a dream. How that feels like a ripoff. This is kind of like that, or a little, maybe one step below. But it's just insert alternate dimension. They're there for however long it needs to happen to kind of make sense that she would
Break
fall in
them
love
up.
with another guy.
Yeah.
and then they came back. It was all a dream. It was all a parallel dimension. Whatever.
So I think, I'm not familiar with this era of Spider-Man, but I think Robin and Wyatt was like early 2000s Spider-Man. He was there and he's back, but I don't know anything about that Spider-Man, so I can't speak to that. It might have been during the big time era with J. Michael Straczynski, perhaps.
Great. You know, with all these alternate realities and worlds in trouble, it starts to lose consequences for the world. Like, I can't, your girl's falling in love in symbology land with someone else, and it was like 4 years they were there. Well, Peter was doing everything he could to get back to her the whole time.
And it should be noted that their 4 years was like 3 days for Peter. It's like a day is a year for them or something.
Right. Which was
So
great. That story's
And
great.
then she dumps him in an airport or whatever. She goes, I'm not leaving him, Peter. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Peter like punches him and his butt hurt and then spies on him.
Oh my God. I mean, it was weird reading it. It felt like, man, this interdimensional stuff and Marvel just needing to make stories like this over and over just feels so redundant.
I mean, you could tell this story, but it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man's supposed to be street level. Why are you putting Spider-Man in stories like this? That's the problem.
Yeah,
Biggest
it's
problem.
a Doctor Strange kind of story, isn't it? From what it sounds like.
Or anybody that's galaxy and multiverse related.
Yeah,
But not
it's a
Peter
mix.
Parker.
Yeah, just another weird, long roundabout way to break them up. You know,
It's not Mephisto this time, though.
Yeah.
So didn't they get like canon broken up and everyone was super mad about that? But it was called One More Day and it was in 2001 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so then for this, did they just put them back together?
Nick Spencer tried to fix all the Dan Slott nonsense, and he had Mary Jane and Peter back together. And then Nick Spencer left, and Zeb Wells came in.
Zeb
immediately cucked him. People were the online commentary is making me laugh because it's like any character you pick to cuck Peter, the audience is going to hate him, but you can tell the writer doesn't want the audience to hate him. So he's like, no, he's cool. Like he's buff and stuff, and he likes smart. He makes.
He's
stuff.
capable. He's capable. He's Mr. Capable. That's his whole character. He's just like, okay, interdimensional demons, cool. I got this. You know.
The only thing we know about him is like what Mary Jane tells us about him. We're just told things about him, but whenever he's around doing things, he just does nothing. He just stands there. Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything at the end at all, and I was like, man, he sucks.
Well, so I mean, it sounds like that he didn't. Okay, he definitely didn't execute, a good in the spirit of a Spider-Man story or a good representation of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. But like, is he competent at least in his craft? Can Zeb Wells write a comic?
I'll say something is I read the 2 issues in one sitting and I wasn't bored, which is actually pretty good. Like that, this is like a Marvel comic, at least on the level where I can read it and not hate myself.
A self-contained story, it's decent. If you pull out who these characters are and it's just some guy named Peter and some girl named Mary Jane, fine. It's not Peter Parker and the real Mary Jane, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I would say competent, yes, but I didn't. And I for being the Amazing Spider-Man. And it wasn't fun, and or for the most part, it wasn't fun as it could have been, and it didn't have that as sharp a writing as I would expect from Spider-Man and some of his dialogue, like a lot of his witticisms, things like that, kind of gone. But overall, the fact that so many crazy things were going on with time jumps and reality jumps, but I still understood what was going on. Like that's competence. That is for sure. I can't deny it. As in terms of a Spider-Man story, I agree with you guys. Like, I didn't feel like I'd read like a good Spider-Man story. At the end, it felt like they jumped the shark. There's the classic giant monster. Everybody's fighting everybody. Everybody's, the bad guy's dying, but he's not dying. You know what I mean? It was like,
and you had the little Fantastic Four car mobile made out of Sue's mind.
That
was weird.
I built this really quick for this fight. Like, okay.
Yeah, when they do issue 25 starts, a lot of it is the 4 years when when Mary Jane and the cuck guy are in the parallel dimension, and it goes
the bull, I believe, is the technical term.
Yeah, it goes 1 week later, and then the next page is 3 days later, 3 months later, 1 week later, 3 weeks later,
which
9
is
months
horrible.
later.
Which is driving me nuts. Yeah.
Just tell us the total time. Don't make us.
I know. I was trying to add it up in my head.
But it doesn't mean
I got
anything.
what he was doing though, and I didn't like it that much. Although it did solve the problem. He kind of painted himself into a corner where he's like, "All right, we have to explain how Mary Jane and Cuck Guy fell in love in the parallel dimension." And they're like, "Well, they were there for a long time, and so over time they fell in love." You say it as a sentence like that, it kind of makes sense, but you don't really feel it when you're reading it at all. Like them falling in love, you don't get anything
Oh, they
there
touched
was no
hands.
relationship.
They're in love now.
There's no relationship built. It was him building a fence and doing like man things for years, and then they stare at each other in bed or whatever. Yeah, he accidentally touches her hand. The thing is, though, when he started going 1 week later, 3 months later, 2 weeks later, I was like, you're just gonna make them get together. Like we know where this is going. So it ruined the tension and the fun of like, will they, won't they? There was none of that. I knew they were going to hook up.
There's only one good thing on the bottom of page 3. It shows the villain drawing something in the dirt, and you're like, oh, that actually was us foreshadowing for the end of 26. So I guess good job there. If you look at it, it's like, oh, that kind of looks like 2 babies in swaddling clothing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was like, are those 2 dead Kamalas?
I thought that's her breast covers or something. Like, isn't that her uniform?
No, I'm pretty sure that's 2 babies. That's what
2 kids. 2
the kids disappearing was pretty good, semi-hardcore.
That was the best. I didn't see that coming, so I'll give them that.
Yeah,
that was a little bit like, oh shit, that's like something Mark Millar would write. Or
I mean, that was pretty harsh. It's like, oh, these kids you thought you were, these were just the evil guy's creation to fool you. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Fun times. I mean, it seemed obsessed with twists, and they were like, and the guy she cooked you with is the son of the bad guy, or whatever.
Yeah, that one they just threw in there. I'm like,
okay. Guys, how many more twists are you gonna throw in here?
It's like a daytime soap opera level,
100%.
Actually, it was the son of the bad guy from an alternate dimension. That's what it was.
Yeah, actually, I kind of forget that scene. It was all a blur of craziness, but the bad guy's like, you don't even know who he really is, that guy who cucked you. And then they do a flashback to explain, which is kind of that sort of bad structure too, because normally you can't do a flashback just to explain the thing right in the moment. And then, so then they explain it. And then Peter's like, yeah, because of that flashback, I actually do know.
Yeah, they speak in unison. Yeah, we already knew that.
And we're cool with it. And you're just
it felt like a Naked Gun thing where like the audience shouts back at the villain. We already know that.
We already know that
part. Parker Luck here says, I believe that it's Marvel editorial fault just as much as it's the writers too. To me, Peter Parker hasn't been relative since One More Day of being a hero.
Yeah, but then you just break them up. This weird ass story is all on Zeb Wells.
Yeah.
No one forced Zeb Wells to do this. This was his idea.
I mean, I know it must be hard, right? When you pitch a superhero story that's in a world of superhero stories where it's almost all been done. That's what this almost felt like with those little pointless twists. Like, you think you've seen it all before, but what about this? And you're just like, okay, whatever. Chill, Zeb, chill. But it's hard, but at the same time, you don't have to set up an interdimensional cuckold for me to be to break up classic characters. Like,
if you wanted to do this and be an ass, just make Mary Jane 80 years old when he gets there. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
This reminds me. There's a German movie from the 70s called The Marriage of Marie Braun, where this woman is like surviving World War II and her husband gets off to war and she doesn't see him for like 6 years and she's just barely surviving in Germany. And so she gets a husband who is kind of taking care of her. Or I don't know if they get married, but she's living with the guy who's taking care of her. And 6 years later, her husband does return. And when she sees her husband return, she kills the other guy.
I've heard about this. Yeah, man. German.
Yeah, it's like hardcore. And that one is like, even when you're seeing that, you're like, what is going on? But I'm like, that's just funny in contrast to Mary Jane, who's like, no, Peter, I'm with Cuck Guy now.
It's
you know who wrote a better story about Mary Jane breaking up with Peter Parker? It's Richard Meyer, because that's what Silkworm happened to his wife. And it's like, wow, that's pretty heartbreaking. I mean, that's what Silkworm is. He's like a Peter Parker that's like jaded from his
broken Parker.
Yeah.
The cucking is a theme right now at Marvel. So just because it's relevant right now, Jason Aaron also did that with Punisher in his recent, demise, and it was his wife that killed him. Is that right?
No, his wife gets brought back finally, right? She shoots him, right?
Then more interdimensional stuff.
Then he's bound in chains in the dungeon, and she comes down there to humiliate him and tell him, like, I sold your safe houses and all your shit. I took half the cash for myself, donated your half to charity. I was going to divorce you the day I died. But now I'm going to divorce you now because you're just a horrible person.
Damn, that's so modern without them realizing it.
It's
Note
vigilante
to self.
divorce.
Yeah, it's like modern marriage woes of men. There's a joke from stand up, but it was a long time ago, I think. But I think it was Eddie Murphy, and he's saying why he wouldn't get married, and he just goes, half.
Yeah.
They take half.
50%.
Yeah.
And that's really bizarre to like bring back his wife. Like that's part of the lore of the character. That's like who he is, his family getting killed.
Right. And then bring her back. And then instead of, oh, happy day, I've brought so much, I've been killing all the evil in the world because of your inspiration.
Yeah.
Have her tell him it was all bullshit.
Right. Like he should have been celebrating her death if that's the kind of bitch she was when she died, like he's like, oh, thank God she's out of my life now.
Yeah.
Well, now that she's taken away everything he has, maybe he can go crazy again and start punishing some thoughts or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that's they're like retroactively ruining the whole story too. Yeah.
Like spraying everybody with beads. You take your shirt off. You take your shirt off.
I want tits out now. I'm the divorcer.
Exactly. Yeah. Midlife crisis, man.
Midlife crisis.
All right, so I guess back to Spider Cook. So where does this story actually, like on issue 25, what page should I jump to if I want to see the big reveal here? Direct me there.
Which one? The
bull
weird
coming.
The bull being like, she's mine, or
she's
Kamala
very
dying.
tasty.
You could have the one where
Kamala
it's
dies at
days,
26.
months, winter, summer, trying to show that they're in love, and you're like, that
Goes
doesn't show
on
that.
and on and on. It's basically like watching like some people play Minecraft or something in those scenes. It's just like, okay, you've built a house. Every now and then they have to kill random symbology creatures with symbols and shit. It's so weird. It's like a little comic almost.
Yeah, I don't understand the symbol stuff.
Yeah, every time I hear the word symbology, I go crazy because of in the movie Boondock Saints, when it opens, Willem Dafoe is making fun of the cops because there's no such word as symbology, and he's making fun of how his fellow cops are so stupid, and he's like, the word you want is symbolism, but this guy's like, fuck that, I'm turning symbology into a universe. So
yeah,
did it. We have to deal with it. But I do appreciate that they gave Mary Jane a Sarah Connor end of Terminator 1 headband while she was fighting in the apocalypse world. That was cool.
Right, yeah. Right. You want to look the part if you're fighting in the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Powermax says, this book was written by a man that hates this character. He even says so in the back of the book. That's interesting.
Ooh.
I could believe it. That's the same thing that happened to Castlevania in that stupid animated series.
Warren Ellis hates
he hates religion. And so, but Castlevania is all about religion. It doesn't work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mismatched.
So he turned it into a whole sci-fi thing, even though that doesn't really fit for Castlevania.
It was vampires, Game of Thrones. I was like, oh.
Okay.
It was so much better the first couple seasons, but then it did turn into vampires.
Yeah, clearly the editors were like chaining them in. It's like, you need to put religion in this, and you can have bad religious people, but some good religious people. Fine, okay. But then it was like almost all gone by the second and third season. It's like, yeah.
So the third season, he was just like, lesbians instead. And that's how he did that.
All right.
Oh, man.
So this is some of the art. This art looks really.
That's John Romita Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not so great art,
Nope.
I must say. Like Mary Jane's eye, on that last panel, she looks ugly as fuck.
Yeah, the eye is like,
it's a little Down syndrome-y.
Well, she's 4 years and she hit the wall,
And I know he's going for stylized like row of teeth there, but that just looks like one big tooth sticking out to me, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I do not like what John Romita Jr. is doing now. I mean, part of the problem is they're trying to make him churn out an issue every 2 weeks. That's probably way too fast for him.
That's fast.
Yeah, that's got to be it. Like, and that's no way to treat a legend. I don't know. It's Marvel.
Yeah.
Just another weird way that they're effing up.
He's better than this for sure.
Mhm.
It was, I think it was issue 23 or 24 when Peter lands after being shot out and like he's supposed to be bruised, but his face looks so ridiculous.
He looked like another dude. He looked more like Frank Castle, the way he draws Frank Castle when he was running away with his face all beaten to shit. At first, I didn't know he was that beat up, so I was
I
like,
thought it was like a Neanderthal or something.
Spider-Man's devolving in this issue.
Well, I mean, time's crazy. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
I know, right? In this story, I felt like almost any random shit could have happened.
Well, they messed up with that because Peter eventually figures out time's passing differently, but he gets blown out back into the universe, buries a suit, and rather wait for helicopters to carry him back really fast, he runs away naked, but he doesn't know time's different yet. So why is he doing that?
That's weird. That's a good point too.
Doesn't
so
make
weird.
sense.
So I think I found the images where they're kind of going over the relationship with this new guy. So is this essentially covering it here? This is the guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
That's
the
him.
guy.
He stole MJ from Peter.
And remember, those kids are just constructs from the evil god of death that to make Mary Jane fall for his plans. Those aren't real kids.
You could tell by all the laughing and joy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's
It's a
evil.
bit like Scarlet Witch from the MCU. Like she has this whole thing where like she's chasing after her fake kids, right? That was in the multiverse.
I
of
mean, I have
Madness.
to say, I like the fake kids because now that they're gone, that's not holding Mary Jane to this guy anymore. So
No,
that's a plus.
I like that.
And didn't this have where early on they drew the guy like skinny neck, the most like cuck?
Yeah, he looks like that later though. When he comes back to the real universe, he's instantly skinny. Like they get all buff, but then once they're back, they're skinny immediately somehow. So I guess there's a muscle difference between universes too. I don't know.
Gravity? I don't know. Is it more high protein symbols that he eats every day in this weird symbol universe? Yeah,
See,
this
they're
shot
looking
here.
at each other.
Yeah,
They're
this
in
bothered
love.
me. Yeah. Well, they're in love, but it's like it's cold.
I guess it's like we have to be
cold.
in love. We're the only two adults on this planet.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at each other. It's like, oh, I have to be with you. I guess it's okay. Maybe
Is like, are they laying on grass or is that
Yeah.
fire?
that's
But
like
I think
fall. I think it's supposed to be like wheat or or
yeah,
grain,
it's like
maybe.
wheat. He's like laying in wheat, and he's like his glasses are just, I don't know, just hanging out on the wheat.
Oh wait, this is an important comment though.
I can see Noah's face on some artisan garlic bread. You mean like Jesus in a water stain, or like actually branding some bread?
Dude, that's not wheat. That's Craven's lion mane. They're laying on Craven's chest.
He's the third bull.
He's the third bull.
Jack is putting some pushback on John Romita Jr. drawing fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Half of JRJR's legend is how fast he is. That's true. Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he
I didn't
just
know that.
doesn't care.
I didn't know he was known to be fast. I felt like some panels were phoned in for speed reasons, and the way he draws Kamala, like he's just trying to get it done, quick outline. Okay, bitch, next. It was
And
pretty
this
good.
isn't John Romita Jr. here. This has got to be
Right.
Carrie Andrews. Doesn't look like him at all. So
Yeah, and I didn't mind this art. You know,
yeah, I like this art. It's good.
it's good.
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
me
good.
too. This art was okay.
Well, other than like it's lifeless, like there's just no passion there, even though like they're lying what looks like in a bed of flames.
Well, there
They
is
look like-
passion. It's just on this panel, there's no passion. So maybe he's setting up they don't actually love each other. They just feel like they have to be together. I don't know.
That said that to me actually, and it made it just I don't know. It's not interesting. It's not. It feels like Walking Dead, where he comes back and finds his wife with Shane.
Right.
You remember that? Like it's like the same thing. There's a cold, like she and Shane were together, but there was a coldness to it. Like there was like we have to do it. You know what I mean? Like
Do
yeah,
it
we
for the
have to
kids
survive. Yeah,
from the evil god.
for the our evil devil spawn children.
Well, they don't know
course.
that yet, but I mean, they kind of should have figured it out. How did they not?
So they had 4 relatively good years together. Okay.
Almost
the-
4, not quite
Almost.
4.
Not quite. Jeez. So what's the expiration on your demon child? Like he can make them go away whenever? That's so weird, dude. Like, ultimate, like on this episode of Punked, you know?
Yeah, and then how it seems like the bull, he would have known, right? He would have been like, we should probably watch out because these kids might be fake. That's one of
They
the
have
tips these bastards
none of them have belly buttons.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what's going on?
How did they feed inside your womb? There was no umbilical cord.
I mean, they just found the kids at like 4 or 3 or something. They just stumbled upon them.
In some
It's like,
shack.
wow, these kids look like us. That's not weird at all.
Kawinky dinks. That was yeah. I remember when that happened too. And after they got deleted, I was like, and they made him look just like him and everything. That's just also that they get to do a scene where Peter goes, "What the hell's going on?" And there's these 2 kids standing there. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they didn't.
it's a little
serve all
tacky.
that much of a purpose. Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like this whole cuckening was really just weird.
Elaborate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're done with 25. There's not much more to say about it.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
I
a
guess
lost
go to the
episode.
page where Peter confronts them with the kids right at the end.
Mhm.
That
That's what
gets
it was
it
all
done.
about. And remember, we're not really seeing Kamala at all. It's like they're avoiding showing her. If they do, she did get like a job in Norman's lab, and you saw her there like being incompetent for half a second, and then it's over. It's gone. There's no arc. She also she saw Spider-Man and Norman do something, and Norman help him or whatever, and that's when she decided to start investigating him. But that's about it for her at this
Okay,
point.
so now
Once
this
we
is-
get to 26.
This is Skinny Bull. So like there's 2 bulls and
So I mean, look
Peter.
at those kids. They look exactly like if they were just mini versions of them.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
The kids are scared and my biceps are deflated. What happened?
Yeah, weird. What happened to Schwarzenegger guy?
The kids are scared.
maybe with the different, you know how they use that different artist for the whole alternate reality thing? Maybe he just got hotter over time to MJ in her mind, and that's why he had the muscles, you know,
Mhm.
like that's why he was starting to look good if she was getting horny.
So it was
They-
all symbolic all along.
Someone
Yeah.
had a theory on Twitter, but I don't know if the timeline works out. But they said that the reveal for the art was first of Skinny Guy, and everyone roasted him so hard, and is like, she would never ditch Peter for that. And then that hurt the writer's feelings. So he's like, well, you guys don't actually know, but he's actually really strong.
In the world of symbols, this guy's a god. All right, watch this.
Yeah.
I was also the monsters in that world that are just look like they're from some other weird cartoon or whatever they weren't very threatening. They were like weird cartoon characters off Pee-wee's Playhouse monsters. It was weird.
And look how mad Mary Jane is at Peter when it's like not her fault. She knows time is different between this now.
Yeah, come
She
on, man.
knows
Yeah.
how fast he must have gone to get back if it's only been less than 4 years, and she's mad at him.
And his face.
They're my
he's-
family.
He's overacting a little bit there. If that was like Tobey Maguire acting, making that face, it would be the stupidest thing.
Oh, what if it was Dark Toby? That'd be awesome.
It would fit
Yeah.
more for Dark Toby.
Dark Toby would just be like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
you're
with it,
mine
babe.
again, babe.
Flip his
So
fucking
say
hair.
goodbye.
I'm into it, babe. No
I'm into
worries.
it.
I've been getting my own too.
Hell yeah.
It was 3 days. It was a long time.
like if you compare her headband here, Romita style, it just churned into just like stripes, right? When it was like woven before with the other artist. You know what I mean? Little things like that, like I don't know.
Well, the other artist probably had like 6 months to draw one comic, so
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's
totally
and not even
different year.
not even a full comic too.
Yeah,
They
this
didn't do
scene
the
is
whole
funny.
issue.
So this is like their breakup scene. They're talking in like, oh, it's not an airport, it's like a
a
hospital.
hospital. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's pretty funny that it's not, I guess it's not very good. It's kind of just serving the plot, but it ends with her being like, the scene's over, Peter. I'm not leaving him.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh well. Well, they left us long ago, so
All right, let's get
that's
to
fine.
the death of Miss Marvel. What everybody
Yeah,
has been
let's
waiting for.
let's get to something happier to lift our spirits
Mm.
after that drag of a comic.
Death
All
of
right.
a diversity hire.
Go to the first page and try to guess who's talking, because you don't know until they tell you her name.
Wait, you don't want to play the game here on the front cover of One Shall Fall, and
It's going to be Robbie Robertson. He's going to die.
Yeah, all of these
Oh.
like characters I don't even recognize.
It's funny because most of them aren't even in this comic. So the only one who's actually in the
Jameson's not in this. Yeah.
I mean, they've been in the Zeb Wells run, but that's about it. All you can say about them.
Yeah.
They got
The
Harley
Robbie
Quinn in there somehow?
Robinson and Tombstone and their kids like falling in love and getting married was a decent Spider-Man story. Actually, didn't have all this other nonsense in it.
Yeah.
There was a
That's-
short story at the end of 25, I think, and it's Peter at a wedding with Black Cat.
Yeah,
And that was not the greatest either. But I remember at the beginning, it wasn't, I don't know, it was fine, but it was a Black Cat. I was like, is that Aunt May?
oh no.
And I didn't understand it wasn't Aunt May until way later in the story.
That'd be funny.
Good.
Like Peter's so down on his luck, his aunt takes him to a dance.
Yeah, that's what I
Aw.
thought. See, that would almost be better. And it's because the new Aunt May is hot, so I was like, it could still be Aunt May, kind of. She's like a silver fox or whatever.
All right. Well, so this is the introduction to
Her
Kamala
shape
Khan.
is a U. Look at that. Her
Yeah.
head is a U.
Doesn't look Indian, honestly. Like she looks African American to me.
I think
anyway.
she's Pakistani.
She is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pakistani. But she's,
whatever.
she's whatever. She's, I mean, she always looks Latino to me, but it doesn't matter. She's,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
fits it.
Okay. So what's with the first page here, Moonshine? Where's
It
the
just
big-
says, "Oh, remember her? She's in Spider-Man's life because she's interning. Did you forget? Well, here's a reminder, because we don't
Yeah.
ever introduce her in the comics."
she's basically investigating Osborn fruitlessly, just to keep her attached, right? So that she can come in here and say, "I'm here too. Sorry, that was a terrible entrance with her big creepy ass body and shit." So, because she's like, Norman's up to no good, but in the end, Norman is like helping the guys take on the monster, right?
Yeah, Norman is good because the Sin Eater came back and removed all Norman's sins. So
There you go.
there you go.
Golden Goblin.
Yeah.
All right. And so she pops back into the storyline just to focus on the fact that she's going to die here, or are they still picking up on any of this multi-dimensional stuff going on with Peter?
So so this is 6 months later, and this guy has come back to the regular universe. That's what's happened. Next page,
This is like the final showdown,
Yeah, so there he is.
Who's this guy? Sorry.
That's the evil guy,
His name's
Robin.
like
Robin, who worships Wyatt.
Yeah. Is his name like Zier? It's got like a bunch of Z's in it or something. Something ridiculous.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I think I gave this guy 5 cents in his coffee cup the other day. Just in the front of the subway. Just on the street.
Oh,
The deadly
Yeah.
homeless. Everyone.
Yeah.
yeah.
The-
The god of death.
So his
a
goal,
lot of monologuing.
yeah, his goal is to kill Mary Jane because somehow that makes him the god of death.
Okay. I don't even know how to follow up on some of these like plot points with questions because that it just doesn't make sense. He needs to kill Mary Jane to become the god of death.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that middle panel, that is really good art. That looks like JR took his time or whatever.
I guess he liked the villain. He didn't care about anything else.
There's one panel of Spider-Man, if it comes up on this, it's like classic JR, and I was like, that one looks good. It's still drawn kind of like new, so it doesn't look like the greatest, but it's like a classic kind of cool, weird camera angle that he would do. It's kind of like straight on. It's like Wes Anderson, but Spider-Man swinging by a web. So like very straight on, but it looks awesome.
Go to the panel where Miss Marvel defeats the villain with a giant hand. That's really amazing looking. It's like 5 or 6 pages later.
That's my favorite. One of my favorite things about them messing up at Miss Marvel. They didn't think about the fact that girls don't want to like to be heroes with big, ugly monster hands. Like they don't find that cool or attractive at all.
Yeah,
No
that's
girl
why they killed it.
about that.
They're like, we need to start over again.
Well, they retconned her in the Disney show. They give her like crystal pink abilities, sparkle. So they'll probably bring her back with that.
Yeah. In this comic, they mentioned one thing, that the bad guy has a blade that if it nicks you, you die. And I was like, ooh, that raised the stakes a little bit. That's kind of good little trickaroo or whatever.
And I guess you should know Miss Marvel natively has healing powers. So that comes into play.
Oh, yeah.
But then she's just like, yeah, I can't.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay, I think I found this hideous panel that you're referring to.
I think it was the best panel. Never
You,
seen better
you think
art.
it's the best
champion
one?
panel.
So if it's what I'm thinking, there's one panel that they randomly use motion blur.
I don't even know what I'm looking at there.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. It's like it's like Popeye's arm just coming in like, "Arr, buddy, bam." So funny.
I mean, I like the next page where the Human Torch shoots the thing out of a cannon with his firepower. That's fun, I guess.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good superhero
Right out of the
stuff.
Yeah,
dick.
see, that
Right
panel,
out of the
a lot of this art looks really good. So there's some.
Oh my god. Coming in hot and orange. All right.
So
And
clever.
there's one of those weird creatures that
Yeah.
like rewrite your existence with their crypto breath or something.
Yeah, it shoots out symbol breath, and if it touches you, it'll rewrite your DNA or whatever. I don't know, something. Maybe existence.
I mean, this part was so absurd. It was enjoyable to read. I guess I can give it credit for that.
A lot of action, you know.
Yeah, I read it pretty fast, and I was double checking it a little bit in my head. I'm like, is this like logistically retarded? Because that will take me out of it. And it was all, there's a little bit of that, like when Mary Jane's like, I'm gonna fight him one-on-one, and Pete's like, no. She's like, yes, and then she does. And you're like, oh, okay. And then
Go 3 pages further, and you can see the Fantastic Four mobile, which is like a sled with seats in it.
They've had floating mobiles throughout the years, but this was different, wasn't it? It was something else. It was weird. What was another thing I was thinking about when it came to this? Oh my god, it's totally leaving my mind now. It was weird watching like them have multiple fights, and Mary Jane realizes that she's important, like her life is important, and instead of hiding, she wants to fight, but her weapon is this bizarre, like bracelet thing that was created in the symbology world that rolls like the dice or does like a roulette. So sometimes you get like
a slot machine.
With it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you get the goods. Sometimes you shoot cotton candy at them. And yet she was still so confident to take on this like death god person with her.
And they set up, if you
machine.
get 3 skulls, you die yourself, and that never pays off. I'm like,
right.
Okay, why'd you tell us that then?
Cool. You just thought that was cool. Yeah. Whoa, crazy. I mean, what an idiot weapon to have too. I would, if I were Spider-Man, I would have freaking webbed that thing off of her wrist and been like, Fantastic Four, put her on your surfboard and get out of here or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time she uses it, it makes cotton candy. It's like, well, this is obviously a worthless weapon.
What Vaughn just said would be infinitely better because it would be actually strategic, actually in character. You know, like a bunch of stuff that's kind of important.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Left it out.
Well, somebody's going to have to decrypt this death scene for me because I can't follow at all.
Okay,
what's
the
happening.
death scene actually was good because when you saw it as a spoiler, it's like, why is Peter cradling Miss Marvel? It doesn't make sense. Okay, so say you think Mary Jane has been killed.
Right.
Yes.
And he succeeds.
Okay, so that's okay. So Mary Jane gets stabbed, but then later, suddenly, this transitions to Kamala here.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the thing of it
It was like
is,
Kamala in disguise or whatever.
Miss Marvel initially in her first run had the ability to transform into anyone else. And they've forgotten about that for years, but they brought it back. So Miss Marvel distracted the villain to stab her, so Mary Jane wasn't killed. So I mean,
Makes sense.
fine. It's superhero stuff,
Yeah.
but the problem is that no one remembers this because they didn't give Miss Marvel that power, because otherwise she could look beautiful, and that's horrible. So
Right.
Yeah. And actually it is like some aspects of it are a good scene, and I almost wish they'd explore it more, but it's like Peter is put in a little bit of his own little mini heroic situation here where he has to hold someone as they're dying where they don't have a special connection, but she wants a special connection because she's dying. And so he has to try to give that to her in like a little bit amount of time. And that's all like pretty good, but a lot of that's reading between the lines, you know.
yeah, I mean, it's you had the only connection is she saved the woman he loves, even though she left him's life, by taking the sacrifice. So I mean, it matters to him in that sense.
Yeah.
And yet it's so anticlimactic. It's so not, her character's arc didn't build to this in any meaningful way. It was very tacked on, you know.
It's a throwaway death almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels, it's not a good death, like a good death of battle or whatever. It doesn't feel good for her character. Like they did her dirty, not that she deserved anything better, but like they could at least.
If this was just a random character they introduced for this run, then her death would be fine. It's like, oh, you had this character. Why is this character here? And then you find out, oh, she's
like a red shirt in Star Trek.
Yeah. Like she's like she's the minor character that does something heroic, and fine. And if she was developed more through the whole run, which she wasn't, but if you did that, then fine. That's a good storytelling element. They have this person that seemingly was unimportant save the day by dying. Fine.
Yeah.
And like part of this is Peter wasn't really doing anything for that whole final fight because it was pretty much he was kind of arguing with the Fantastic Four for no reason, while Mary Jane and Kamala Khan were kind of doing the actual action against the bad guy. And that's kind of weird too.
Well, I mean, it was set up that Peter is trying to fight him, but he can like essentially warp anywhere he wants by rewriting time. So it's like, whoops, you sent them away. Now I'm with them and not you.
Yeah, that's right. And that was okay, escalating stakes, but it was just comic booky or whatever. But yeah,
I don't know.
It had to happen this way just because Kamala Khan's, the way they wrote her character, she looked up to Captain Marvel, but they wanted to rig her character to be popular by trying to make her the next Peter Parker is what they said they wanted to do with her. So I guess having Peter hold her and everything was special for that character in a way, but it just didn't. There's literally just a few pages before she's dead, Peter Parker's like, Miss Marvel, you're here? Like,
yeah,
and like in the background for like the whole book.
Yeah. And then after she dies, that's the thing too. They go, oh yeah, she was working at Osborn this whole time. She was a hero.
she was checking in on you, Ozzy.
Yeah. But they forgot.
Then they have to throw in, oh yeah, what about the kids? And then the guy's like, oh, they're gone.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that right now.
Everyone remembering stuff that they'd previously forgotten.
How do you come back from interdimensional cuckery, though? Like, how do you fix that? I mean, fixing one day must have been hard enough, you know?
Peter could just go get another Mary Jane. He's like, whatever, I got a better Mary Jane.
Yeah, just bring in a Mary Jane from an alternate universe, I guess. And
I don't know. Death scene cuckery is pretty bad. Like, he was holding what he thought was Mary Jane, and it's Kamala.
Scene cuckery.
and so the real Mary Jane is still alive, ends up in the hands being comforted of her, new bull.
Mr. Capable.
The son of the evil god of death villain, remember?
Yeah. And this is the death scene with like Peter holding some.
Yeah, I don't know
little
why the
wannabe.
Fantastic
Oh.
Four are there. How did they they were fighting? I don't know. They all just get there. I mean, Norman fine because he kind of knows her because she's his intern, I guess. So he's like, "Oh no, my intern died. Think of all the paperwork."
Didn't
And
they get there
apparently she
from
was
like
spying
confronting
on-
Peter? They were like, "You owe us a nuclear reactor, Peter," or whatever it was he stole from them.
Yeah.
That was the best part for me, where they brought him in and they told the computer, like, it's the Fantastic Four said, "Computer, he's safe. Like, put Spider-Man on the safe person list." But then he uses that to come back later and steal their shit. I thought that was so funny.
You're just like, "Whoops."
Yeah, and Human Torch was like, "Damn it, I forgot to take him off the list." Save people. Oh, that's fucking good. But I'm not even a big Fantastic Four guy, and I actually thought that was pretty fun in terms of the rest of the story. I was just like, I'm surprised I'm keeping up with this with all the jumps and all the interdimensional and all the weird new rules about some symbol universe. And yeah, I could still keep up with it. It was just kind of a weird ride, not a fun and thrilling as much as it was like, I don't know, a little exhausting.
I mean, if this was just a couple issue what if story, fine. I don't know why they made this the main universe. That's a bad idea.
Probably so they could bring Kamala back with new powers in November when her movie launches, along with season 2 of her show.
You know what I was thinking is, I watched a show called Californication back in the day with the guy from X-Files.
Yeah.
And like
David
it's pretty,
Duchovny.
yeah, and it was pretty good. But they do this thing where he kind of is he or isn't he going to get his life in order, and then he does, and it's a happy ending. Then the next season starts, and he fucks it up, and
Yeah.
he has to fuck it up, or else there'll be no show. And after like the third time he fucks it up, you're like, "Fuck off, man! That's
Fuck
stupid."
this guy.
Yeah,
And,
I'm not
and
gonna
yes,
keep watching this 'cause
how's
it
your
has to-
father? They did. They fridged her. He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fridged her. But yeah, this I can imagine that being sort of a something for a Spider-Man writer that could be a problem, because you'd be like, all right, I want to do some street level stuff, blah blah blah, and people be like, yeah, we wrote all that. Everything you just said, we did it 20 years ago. And then you're like, what about this? Like, yeah, we did that 50 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
what about this? And you're like, so okay, so
Dan Slott did that twice.
yeah. But they could and should do a back to basics. And I know it's like, if they have to.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, besides
Right.
this, Zeb Wells mostly did very basics. It was almost like the old Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man kind of stuff they were doing.
like he has to deliver a pizza and catch a bad guy. at
Well,
the
it's
same
like
time.
relationship stuff and Tombstone and Robbie Robinson and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's such a weird feeling because we don't care about Kamala. Not to speak for everyone here, but I'm pretty sure we don't.
No
And
one
we
cares.
know she's, and I think a lot of people in general don't. Oh, sir, excuse me. I've been a fan for quite some time of her big
Aw.
go-go fists.
I
Java
have
in
a
the-
first
Java in the
appearance
chat says,
on the
Kamala.
coupon at the grocery store.
Kamala, no.
You know what would
they-
have been best if Peter shouted "Con," but no.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, what's final thoughts on this issue? Like, it's hard. It's easy to take it apart, but like total package, what do you guys say? Worth the read, or
It was
It
better
was-
than I thought. So
Yeah, better than I thought is like it should be stamped on it. That's what you should have done.
Yeah.
The amazing better than I thought. Yeah, it was it's bombastic and ridiculous, and Ms. Marvel doesn't say or do anything except have big ugly hands, and then you're glad she's dead. So maybe that's worth the read for some people. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
I just can't believe they actually did a death scene cuckening. He thought he was holding Mary Jane, and he was holding Kamala, and Mary Jane was in some other guy's hands instead.
Sigh.
It's like,
If I were Spider-Man, by that point, I just would throw Kamala and then just start.
I mean, there are
that
no
guy up.
you
there
can't
are
warn
no-
me.
there are no Paul and Mary Jane fans, but they would be pissed because their whole reason to be together was just deleted. It's like, nope, they're gone. The kids are gone.
So how long will this Paul character last in the story now? You know,
Probably
Like-
till Zeb Wells it goes away.
Okay.
It actually will be a funny meta thing, because like I just know that he's like, shit, I made this guy. Everyone hates him. But gosh darn it, I'm a good writer, so I'm going to make people like him. And it's going to be like that for like 10 years.
Well, that was the same thing after One More Day. They put in some girl character Peter was with that apparently was the writer's daughter or something, and everyone hated her. And so now she's like off in some other part of the country, I think, right now.
Well, he's not super in this world, so we'll see how long it lasts. He's skinny again. We'll see how long it lasts. Between him and Mary Jane.
I bet he'll become the next god of death and then become evil, and then Mary Jane will like,
I could see
guess
that.
I don't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He crosses the wrong symbols one day, goes evil.
It's like, I'm evil again.
And she's like,
You saw
Peter,
that
I guess we can get back together. And he's like, oh, sure. As soon as your old boyfriend turns evil, you come crawling back to me.
Whatever, dude. I'm in a web with Black Cat getting it on right now. Call me later.
Yeah, I mean, at least they gave Peter Black Cat as a consolation prize, but
Yeah. Kind of throwing a sausage down the hallway though with her, isn't it? So
yeah, she's slept with pretty much everyone. So
Cats, man.
exactly. All right. So now we're done talking about comics that suck. Let's talk about some comics that are awesome. You've got a campaign going on right now, Vonster, Psycho Killers. Actually,
yes.
This was interesting because Adam Lawson is actually
Yes.
crowdfunding.
So I made and sold Psycho Killers to Gifted Rebels, and they're producing it. Adam's producing it and helping it, making it happen, paying for the artists and making sure everything's cool. So this is just my little experiment working with another company, and we made Psycho Killers, a story about psychic assassins who were on their last mission to kill each other. They all grew up being trained to use their abilities in cool, special ways and learn how to kill. And now they have to take each other out in these amazing, badass psychic battles where they actually know each other and have a past. It's very personal. It's very dramatic. It's very cool. It's very James Bond, John Wick, Go-Go 13, if you know that manga. Very classic, badass assassin high T-ness with psychic abilities that kind of add a little mind bend to it. So it's a real fun little piece of work. Paul Gorey does the art for this. It's the first 22 pages, I think, of my 132-page script. So I've already written like the main first volume of it, where he has his first big fight and everything and gets his mission. And this is just the ash can. It's black and white. It's limited edition. We have, I think, less than 200 left. So get it while you can. It's signed. It's awesome. Necrotalk 99.
Like 150 left or 160. So they're going 6 days left too. It'll have that big push at the end.
And I believe it is
right.
shadow banned, so you need the direct link. So that's in chat. So that's
Classic.
good.
All my shit be shadow banned, man. They're trying to keep me down for whatever personal reason. They won't email me back and tell me why. It is I got to tell you guys, it is so weird telling your own mom, like, Mom, I'm shadow banned. What? Like, she couldn't find my campaign when it was time, when it launched. It makes you kind of bummed me out, man. I like to see my stuff trending, but whatever. They want to play that way, they can. It's their site. They could be dicks, I guess, but it doesn't help my confidence. But anyway, not to go up on Indiegogo too much. We still are trying to use them to sell this book. So, but yeah, I hope you guys will check out Psycho Killers. It's the most badass lineup of psychic assassins you're ever going to see. Very sleek, very sexy, very suave people trained to kill in awesome ways and get away with it. So check it out. Yeah, Indiegogo, and signed by me and the rest of the team.
I had no idea this was actually it was you working with another company, and it being limited edition is really awesome. I did grab a copy. There's 184 left. People definitely better get on that. Otherwise they're going to miss out. So you haven't done collaborations yet. This is still you just doing your own work. Am I correct?
What do you mean?
Is this totally your own project, or were you also working with them, or they're just publishing it for you? I wasn't clear exactly what the
Oh,
arrangement was.
I wrote it, developed it, designed everything, and kind of handed it to them. But Adam has worked with me in like polishing the script and like producing it, working with the
Okay.
artist, like getting the
Gotcha.
artist on it and everything. Yeah. So yeah, he's produced and helped, and he's definitely given some good notes and everything. He's definitely been a good teammate for this. It's been amazing. So
Okay, cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I already had the story ready to go, man. I was just working on this after the creator of Go-Go 13 died. I got really heartbroken, and I started making this to kind of carry on this fire and spirit that I saw him create in the world. I didn't want it to go out. So
I think isn't Go-Go 13 the longest running manga? I don't know if it's been surpassed by now, but
if it isn't, it's still running even after his death, because his team like respected him enough to keep going, just like Berserk. So it's still going. Last I heard, it was the longest running. I mean, it's been going since the 70s. So
yeah, that's crazy long. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and so Vaughn, is this your third kind of big epic IP that you've dropped? Like, if you count Monster MD, Terror in the Trenches, and then this one. Yeah. So it's like the Vaughn trilogy. This is the
Do you have any updates on Taro? I know I think there's printing issues or something.
I haven't heard any news from the printer, so I guess they're still figuring out their weird issue they had with the, I guess it was the Mac covers and the foil stamp, something like that. Or it was the, what was it? The spot gloss might not have been adhering properly, something like that. So have not heard anything else. So it's just a bummer. But I mean, I know they printed the pages, it's just the covers that's the problem. So hopefully they'll be able to like fix it, assemble soon, and ship it out.
Yeah, I mean, you're better off delaying than sending out a subpar project, because people would hate that.
That's the last thing I want to do, man. So
Yeah, they complain about the deadlines, but they'll complain harder about bad books, frankly.
No doubt.
Like
no doubt.
That's the pages fall out, then we'll all just laugh. But
print it backwards,
or that,
Man, it's sorry, it was brutal to find because you are shadow banned. I had to go through all of my contributions to find Terror in the Trenches.
You could have just taken Felix Hawes's link in chat.
Oh, I'm not watching chat. I wish I had eyes like that could like a lizard eye,
Yeah, I had it highlighted for about 5 minutes.
Thanks, Felix.
I was on a different screen. Yeah, it's still in demand, so people can still pick that up too.
It is, and as we ship it out, it will stay in demand, and as we finish up, then we'll do like a closeout like we did with Monster MD. I'm going to ship it out as fast as I can. I'm so geared and ready to get this out, guys. This should have gotten out forever ago. So I cannot wait to get this in your hands. Check it out. How many pages is this? I forgot. It's like 78 pages or something of story with like maybe 78. So yeah, and then a bunch of cool extras. So you guys are going to get a lot of book for your money. It's a beautiful book. It's out of a trilogy, and I'm thinking for the third book we'll do like a cool, book casing cover thing or a slip case thing that you could slide all three of them in.
Your artist just keeps getting better and better. It's just amazing looking.
Yeah, Monica is like a world-class badass artist from Italy. Absolutely kills it. So, actually, we worked on, I guess I can't reveal it all yet, but I hope I can. I'll ask them. But I did write a crossover with another character involving my Black Terror as well recently. A little short. So they got Monica to draw it. So you're going to see more Monica Terror coming out kind of soon.
Cool.
And I think Monica also does Morta's book, or at least she did the last one, I think. But
yes, Tales from the Classroom 2. Yeah, and I think she might be doing 3. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, that's a good one.
And Cerberus.
Wait, Cerberus too?
Cerberus.
I didn't even
read that.
I forget that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good.
That's the segue, Will Red.
Yeah. Let's, pop that up. I had to go through my contributions to find it too. It's crazy what Indiegogo's doing.
I think this one was not shadow banned until right at the end.
Yeah, and Cerberus, it's closed, so it's fulfilling soon. I ordered prints. They're going through that process. I think they'll be here by the end of June. It's always, the printing process is the most stressful, and it's kind of like my least favorite, although it's kind of rewarding. But you have to like read the proofs, and then changes get made, and you're like, I really should read it again just to make sure. And you're like, but I've already read it, so you kind of like make it. But what if I accidentally clicked on something and it messed the pages order up? So then you're like, all right, I will read it. So then you read it twice in one day, and you're like, okay. And
I'll be checking the word bubbles to see if there's any smearing. Make sure your print job was good. So
I know. See, that was one of the things, was they gave me a note and they're like, you shouldn't have rich black on the text. And I was like, I've never heard this. But then I talked to Eric, because Eric prepared all the print for Cerberus, so it was fine. But it was triggering it for the Cave Slave. And so I was like, shit. I was like, did I print before? And I looked at my old books. I'm like, they look okay. I can't tell. Eric sent me one that it was and one of the books that did have the rich black, so it had the minor ghosting. And he's like, most people won't notice, but you really should fix it, because that you want to do the best product you can. And so I jumped through a bunch of hoops to figure out how to fix it. And it took a week, but I did fix it, and it feels good. Like, so Cave Slave's looking good too. The print will be very crisp, the text when it prints.
I love crisp text. That's the best part.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad I can deliver that for you.
What's your next project, Narwhal? When are you planning to announce something?
I'm going to do Earthbound Grand Prix, but it's going to be a little bit like of a side. Like, it's like, this isn't necessarily like a huge Earthbound release, because it's actually just a 42-page. It's the first 42 pages of Grand Prix, but Grand Prix is the next big Earthbound book. So this book, I'm going to try and do it as floppies, then a trade, then floppies, then a trade, rather than just doing trades, to keep a little more liquidity flowing through the Narwhal Comic Company kind of thing. So, and it's only going to be 2 weeks, no in demand, no mailing list. So everyone be ready. I'm going to drop it on you at some point in the summer. And that one is like already done though. I'm already drawing issue 2. And I did a really cool trailer for it, which I'm kind of just keeping close to the chest for now, I think. But the trailer turned out pretty sweet.
Nice.
Jabba wants to know, did the dog sleep on squeaky futons?
These dogs.
What's the squeaky futon lore?
I know. I was like, it's funny he's bringing that back. That's like 3 years ago somehow. It was when I lived in the house behind with the old lady, and in that era, I was seeing the old flame a little bit, and there was talk of how squeaky my futon was. And
you talk about these writing down. These
Jabba remembers.
I think when you're in your 20s, you destroy futons at some point. All of us.
Obligated, yeah.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
It's like a cat with string, or like a dog with a pillow, like just natural.
Yeah. Yep. Something weird happened to me today. I didn't know what to make of it. I ride a scooter around half the time and don't drive, just like a little electric scooter. And so I'm just scooting around town, and I'm scooting, and then brought my scooter to my town, and then 1 week later they introduced the Birds, which are the scooters you can rent with smartphones. So I'm like, oh, for one, I'm a trendsetter, so I'll take it. But also now everyone's gonna hate scooters because they're everywhere. So I'm like, shit, like what was once like a cool, rare thing is now common and everyone hates it. So today I'm scooting, and I felt this really sharp pain in my calf, and I was wearing shorts, and I go, ow, what was that? Ow. I kind of reacted kind of like that. And then I hear some people like 200 feet way back at a red stop sign in the road, maybe 300 feet away, but I can barely hear him. And he goes, oh man, I got him. I hit him. Someone was like shooting at me with like either a BB gun or a
pellet gun. Yeah.
Got him, bro.
Yeah. And so it's like a rock, but I have this welt on my calf now.
Wait, were those guys on other scooters? Are you
hunted
by rival scooter
gangs?
They're
like an SUV, but I think they hate the scooters. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. You should form a scooter gang with all the new scooters in town and mess them up.
I know.
Yeah.
I immediately started fantasizing about just walking towards them, taking a few to the chest of whatever they're shooting at me, and just scootering their fucking SUV right to the front of the window. Like,
Go to the multi-dimension and get your bull to
Didn't
come
sound
over
as
and
cool
beat
as-
them up. You know,
yeah.
like that's what Peter
No,
Parker
get your
would do.
bull's alternate dimension father to beat them up.
Yeah.
I will.
Seb Wells write the revenge that you're going to get on these guys.
Have the Human Torch shoot the thing out of his fiery dick.
Yeah.
Beat him up.
He's like, all right, Narwhal, I can have you get revenge, but you have to get cucked. Are you into it?
And somebody you barely know will
Well,
die.
it depends on what dimension.
Yeah.
It's the only way to be a hero.
How will you feel when Jabba the Peacemaker dies for you, Narwhal?
I'll hold him in my arms.
I think he might be Pakistani. So, yeah, but so only a few weeks and then no in demand. That's interesting.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. But part of that is there. You know, your boy Zach has done that in the past, and he's been criticized for it. But it actually, you get the money way faster. And in my case, I actually have another book that I wanted to do, but I'm like, I should do this because I have it. So I'll just do it. This one fast. Do the other one kind of a more regular, real campaign, and then I'll have issue 2 ready. If this can also be fast, or I'll have the full trade, which it would then be like a pretty long, full campaign or whatever.
Oh, this is very curious. This is a good story.
Oh, there you
Cuck
go.
Narwhal with Rini and Sheila Alien dies for some reason. Seth Wells has written all the CG multiverse lore already.
Yeah.
Thank you. Found that.
No, I get what you mean, Narwhal. Like sometimes you should just do a fast book, get it out, you know, get it to the people, get people talking so they want to get that second one too. You know?
Yeah, that's like, it's like, even if it say, you know, it'll be fast. So say I leave some money on the table or some backers, maybe, you know, whatever number it hits, I can fulfill it that much faster actually. So, and so then I'm launching another campaign because I am trying to keep the money rolling. I say running this comic biz indie thing is like building the train tracks while you're on the train. I'm sure everyone can relate.
So is there another Narzak book in the works? Is that
Yeah, and it's so early. I don't know. We have some short stories we've been throwing around. He wants to do a Popeye one because Popeye will be public domain sooner.
Oh,
or later.
that'll be curious to see the legal thing if someone goes after him or if it sails through.
Yeah. All that is interesting. And then
Well, and Zach would do
Is
like
that
a
why
GI Popeye, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would.
He'd lean
would.
into
He'd
the
embrace-
military
he'd-
side of Popeye.
Most.
yeah, a lot of his pitching and expertise was in that. But he wanted to get several different artists and a few, like it'd be like an anthology kind of thing. And I would just write and draw one of them and maybe draw another, but I'd only write and draw one.
Is
and
that
I
already
already-
you're feeding spinach to the deer? You're getting into.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I
Is your
already
story
wrote
going to
mine.
be about deer Popeye? A deer becomes Popeye?
Actually,
That'd
that
be amazing.
sounds like better than what I wrote, so I might go back.
Bambi's Revenge.
Yeah, because
That'd be a
I
good book.
haven't turned what I wrote into your boy Zach because I got a feeling he might hate it. But it's like Popeye, he ends up like getting beat in a fight, kind of blacking out, drunk, waking up at a famous gay guy in Hollywood's house.
This is good for print. You
I
got to
read
just
that.
go with this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then some other stuff happens, but yeah.
Yeah, he blacks out on spinach and beats up Olive.
I just asked that when he wakes up in the house, he stares out a window and there's a deer staring back at him. That's all I need.
Yeah, I got to start putting the deers into my story. Have you guys seen in that show, the Canadian show, Trailer Park Boys? Are you guys familiar with that show at all?
Mildly, you know.
Yeah. And the guy, I can't think of each of their names. It's Julian and
I just know Bubbles.
Randy or something. Yeah, but he's running around. He sees a deer and he goes, "Oh, it's a deer." He puts T at the end, so that's how I pronounce deers from now on. Ever since I saw that, I'm like, "Oh, look at these deers."
Deers. What the hell?
Well, we deserve a 499 Redux. You have to pitch it to Zach.
Yeah, maybe one day. I wouldn't be against it. What there's there might eventually be a spiritual sequel to 499. And yeah, I'm kind of actually
500.
excited about that one. It's another alt history one. And yeah, I'll try and make sure that I color it, basically, I think is the
Or
thing.
just make it black and white.
Yeah, or make it black and white. Yeah.
Whatever's right for the story.
Yeah.
Do it.
Cool. Well, I guess we can bookmark there. I didn't want to keep you guys too long. I know you had other things planned.
You got to jump on the Ethan stream.
Right, yeah. You guys should try to get the link for that.
He didn't send me the link this time.
I think he might want to just be with Eric because Eric joined him. So.
Oh yeah, that sounds right to me. Actually, that'd be a good conversation. Okay, cool, man.
It's a mega weird, I don't know, stream. Like they still haven't gotten to the part in Flashcast where Dick Masterson came on. It's just been Ethan and Eric. I don't know, like just kind of going over, what happened with like the stream frozen. So it's been just a lot of retrospective. What happened last night when we were both drunk at the club, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Sounds like a movie title.
Yeah.
Dude,
Who was
where's
that
my
chick I was
car,
hitting on?
YouTuber style.
Dude, where's my comic?
Yeah.
And then Dick Masterson came in and was like, "Dude, you suck! You suck!"
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, what a ridiculous situation, man.
Oh, JEC has a suggestion though.
I'll let Zach bully you, whatever
He says,
call it.
"Don't let Zach bully you into redrawing it all in 2 weeks."
Yeah.
Oh, JEC needs a primer on this. Well read.
What did Dick do? What doesn't Dick do?
True.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over it actually on.
Ooh, Yanafui with the spice.
Eric is a TJ. He's never going to stop talking. I'm gonna start up an Unzipped. That's where we get into all of the drama, spill the tea. So I'll EFAP the good parts of that stream, and people can catch up on the drama there a little bit, and I'll have the link in the chat. So, yeah,
Send TJ the link to get the site. TJ can defend Eric.
right. Well, we'll see how all of that goes. But yeah, thanks, Monster and Narwhal. It's a great hangout and great discussion. Really looking forward to your upcoming projects. So I appreciate you guys jumping on to review these 2 books.
Yeah, good hanging with you guys anytime. And Vaughn's going to be on my channel on Wednesday. Everyone keep that in mind too. We're promoting Psycho Killers there as well.
Felix, could you put Narwhal's channel link? Because I know Well Read won't do that.
I'm trying to set up the after stream, but yeah, I'm doing like 5 jobs back here.
No worries. No, well read. Thank you so much, man. It was a blast. Always good chatting with you or getting to discuss this stuff. So I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I like doing this thing where we get to talk comics with the creators, and it's a nice way to like get in your guys' headspace on what you think works about story and what doesn't. So I really enjoyed having you guys come on and share with us. So thanks for that.
Cool.
There's the link to Narwhal's channel.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks.
So check out Vaughn and Narwhal on their channel, on Narwhal's channel on Wednesday, and have a good night, everybody. We'll see you later.